Intro, a return to calm. Take a deep breath and exhale slowly. You've been living in survival mode for so long that peace started to feel foreign, but peace isn't gone. It's just been waiting for you to slow down enough to find it again. This audiobook isn't here to hype you up. It's here to bring you home, to quiet the noise in your mind, to help you trust your intuition again, to remind you that calm isn't weakness, it's confidence in its purest form. You've been overthinking, replaying, overanalyzing, trying to figure out what went wrong, what could have been said differently, what could have been done better. But you're not in the past anymore. You're here, now. And this version of you deserves silence, stillness, self-trust. In this journey, you'll learn to slow down without guilt, to move from anxiety to awareness, to turn off the noise that tells you you're behind, and to remember that the most magnetic energy on earth is a woman who trusts herself deeply. Let these words be your safe space, a gentle reset for your nervous system, a warm reminder that you are not broken, you're just learning to rest again. Take another deep breath, relax your shoulders, unclench your jaw. You're not falling behind, you're falling back into alignment. Welcome to quiet confidence, the art of trusting yourself again. It's time to come home to peace. Chapter 1. The noise in your head. Your mind isn't the enemy. It's just loud because it's scared. When you've been through too much, your mind learns to over-prepare. It replays, rewrites, and reanalyzes every moment because once upon a time, it had to protect you. But now, you're safe. And your mind hasn't realized it yet. The voice that never stops. You know that voice. The one that questions everything. Did I say the wrong thing? Should I have done more? What if it doesn't work out? That voice isn't intuition. It's survival. It's a defense mechanism trying to predict every possible outcome to avoid ever being hurt again. But peace doesn't live in prediction. It lives in presence. The illusion of control. Overthinking gives the illusion of safety. It makes you feel like if you just analyze enough, you'll finally find certainty. But certainty isn't real. And control was never the goal. The goal is trust. Trust that whatever happens, you can handle it. Trust that you'll know what to do when the time comes. Trust that you are guided even when it's quiet. Mental clutter and energy leaks. Every thought takes energy. Every what if drains your vibration. The more you think, the less you feel. And the less you feel, the more you disconnect from your power. Your intuition speaks in whispers, but you can't hear it over the noise. Overthinking is spiritual static. Silence is how you tune back in. You're not broken, you're overstimulated. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to unplug. You've been consuming too much energy that doesn't belong to you. Opinions, expectations, information overload. That's why your mind feels crowded. It's full of voices that aren't yours. Quiet confidence begins when you start deleting them. When you say, this voice doesn't serve me. This thought doesn't belong to me. This fear isn't mine. And in the quiet that follows, your true voice begins to return. Affirmations for clarity. My mind is safe to rest. I no longer chase certainty. I create peace. I release the need to control outcomes. I trust myself to handle whatever comes. I am safe in silence. Final reflection. You don't have to silence your mind. You just have to lead it. You can say to it, thank you for trying to protect me. You don't have to anymore. And with that, you take the first step back into trust, back into peace, back into you. Chapter 2. Return to the body. Your mind can wander anywhere, but your body can only exist here, in this breath, in this moment. When you overthink, you leave your body behind. Your energy rushes to the future or rewinds to the past. That's why it feels like you're floating, disconnected, unstable, tense. The way back to peace is simple. Come home to your body. The anchor within your breath is the first doorway back to calm. Slow it down. Notice the air as it enters your nose, fills your chest, softens your belly. That's the rhythm of safety. That's your anchor. Every time you return to your breath, you remind your nervous system, I'm okay right now. Your body listens, it relaxes, it releases, it trusts again. When the mind races, when your thoughts start spinning, don't fight them. Invite your awareness lower, out of your head and into your chest, into your belly, into the soles of your feet. Feel your body touching the ground. Notice how it supports you without asking. It's always been holding you, even when your mind ran away. Peace begins when you stop trying to control the thought and instead reconnect with the body that's been patient enough to wait for you. Tension as a message. Tight shoulders, clenched jaw, stomach knots. These aren't random and they're language. Your body speaks through tension. It tells you where your energy is stuck. It tells you where you're holding stories that aren't true anymore. When you feel tightness, don't label it bad. Whisper, thank you for showing me. Then breathe into that space. Imagine your breath as warm light melting through the tension. You don't force release, you allow it. Movement as meditation. Stillness heals, but so does movement. Walk slowly and notice your feet meeting the earth. Stretch like you're unraveling stress from your bones. Move your body not to change it, but to listen to it. Every cell responds to your awareness. Your body isn't separate from your spirit. It is the spirit, expressed in form. The more you honor it, the more your intuition strengthens. The body remembers safety. For years, your body's been on alert, ready to defend, ready to flee, ready to prove. It doesn't know that the war is over. So you teach it gently, with breath, with stillness, with kindness. You remind it that safety isn't found outside, it's created inside. When your body believes it's safe, your mind finally quiets down. Affirmations for grounding. I am safe in my body. My breath anchors me to peace. I release tension with every exhale. My body and I are on the same team. I am home within myself. Final reflection. Your body is not just your vessel, it's your compass. It tells you when you're forcing. It tells you when you're aligned. The more you listen, the less you'll overthink. Because the body always knows the truth. It doesn't need proof, it just needs presence. So before you try to fix your life, pause, breathe, come home. You already have everything you need. You just have to feel it. Chapter 3, Reclaiming the Inner Voice. You've always known what to do, even in the moments when you said, I don't know. Deep down, you did. The problem isn't that your intuition went silent. It's that you stopped believing her. The voice beneath the noise. Your inner voice isn't gone. She's buried under fear, opinions, pressure, and the noise of a world that profits from your self-doubt. Every time you ignored your gut to keep the peace, every time you said yes when you meant no, every time you doubted your own knowing, she went quiet, not because she was weak, but because she was tired of not being heard. The sound of intuition. Intuition doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't rush, it repeats. It sends signs. It sends sensations. It speaks through your body, your chills, your discomfort, your peace. You've been hearing her all along. You just called it overthinking. But intuition doesn't create chaos, it creates clarity. If the voice in your head brings fear, it's not your intuition. If it brings peace, Even in uncertainty, that's her. Rebuilding trust. When someone breaks your trust, it takes time to rebuild. The same is true with yourself. You rebuild by listening, by honoring small nudges, by taking one intuitive step at a time, even when logic argues. Every time you trust that gentle pull and see that it led you right, you strengthen the bond between you and your intuition. Soon, she won't whisper anymore. She'll speak clearly, and you'll recognize her instantly. Silencing external voices. The reason you can't hear yourself is because you're tuned to everyone else. The advice, the algorithms, the comparisons, all noise. You can't receive your truth while carrying 1,000 others. Silence isn't loneliness, it's clarity. It's where you return to your frequency. When you spend time alone, you stop performing, you stop filtering, you start remembering. That's when your intuition speaks loudest. Learning the language of yes and no. Your body reacts before your mind decides. It leans in when something's aligned. It tightens when something's off. That's intuition in motion. You don't need to overthink choices. You just need to listen. Ask yourself, does this feel like peace or pressure? Peace is always the right answer. Pressure is always the warning. Your intuition doesn't ask for reasons, it asks for trust. Affirmations for inner trust. My intuition always guides me with love. I no longer second guess what feels right. I release fear and return to my knowing. I trust the quiet voice within me. I am guided, protected, and aligned. Final reflection. You've never been lost, just distracted. The voice you've been searching for isn't out there. It's the whisper that's been with you since birth. Every time you follow her, life unfolds smoother. Every time you honor her, miracles meet you faster. You don't need louder signs, you just need deeper silence. And in that silence, you'll always find her, your higher self, your truth, your quiet confidence. Chapter 4. The Confidence Within Calm. Confidence doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it looks like stillness, soft eyes, steady breath, and an unshakable knowing that everything will work out in your favor. The most powerful people in the world aren't the loudest. They're the calmest, because calm means trust, and trust means power. The illusion of loud confidence. The world taught you that confidence means volume, big energy, bold moves, being on all the time. But real confidence doesn't perform. It doesn't need to convince anyone. It doesn't even need to speak. Quiet confidence walks into the room and the energy adjusts. Not because it demands attention, but because it doesn't need it. You become magnetic when you stop proving and start being. The calm in uncertainty. Calm is not the absence of chaos. It's the presence of trust within it. Life will always move. People will shift. Plans will change. But when your peace is internal, you move through the world like water, fluid, adaptable, unbothered. Confidence doesn't mean you always know what's next. It means you know you'll handle what's next. The energy of assurance. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance. Arrogance says, I don't need anyone. Confidence says, I trust myself no matter who stays or goes. That's quiet assurance, a frequency that doesn't waver. When you stand in it, you stop reacting to opinions. You stop over-explaining. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Your stillness becomes your statement. Peace as power. When you're calm, you can see clearly. When you see clearly, you move correctly. Most mistakes happen when you rush. When you slow down, you align. Calm is your superpower. It keeps your energy precise. You attract from peace what you could never force from panic. The more peaceful you become, the more powerful you feel because you're no longer driven by fear, you're guided by faith. Soft confidence. Soft confidence is the kind that doesn't need validation. It's gentle but grounded. It doesn't try to impress, it just expresses. Soft confidence sits with silence and feels safe. It speaks when necessary and listens with presence. It's the energy of a woman who knows she's enough, whether she's seen or unseen. You don't have to act confident anymore. You can simply rest in who you are. Returning to stillness. Stillness is how you reset your nervous system. It's how you remind yourself that there's nothing to prove. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you grow stronger. Every time you breathe instead of panic, you align deeper. Every time you pause before responding, you remind your spirit, I am in control. You no longer chase calm. You are calm. Affirmations for quiet power. My calm is my confidence. I move with grace and certainty. I no longer chase attention. I radiate assurance. I trust myself deeply. My peace is unshakable. Final reflection. Confidence doesn't need a crowd. It only needs conviction. The quieter you become, the clearer your path gets. Because calm isn't the absence of energy, it's energy under command. You no longer shout to prove your strength. You whisper peace and move mountains. That's quiet confidence. That's you, steady, radiant, and finally free. Chapter 5. The Power of Non-Reaction. True power isn't in how you act. It's in how you don't react. You don't owe chaos your energy. You don't owe ignorance your explanation. You don't owe disrespect your response. You owe yourself peace. Non-reaction isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's when your energy becomes so stable, nothing outside of you can shake it. The space between trigger and response. There's always a space. The moment right after something happens, but before you respond. That space is sacred. It's where power lives. It's where peace has a chance to speak. When you start choosing that space over impulse, you start living from presence instead of pain. Reaction is automatic. Response is intentional. And the woman who responds intentionally rules her reality. When silence speaks louder, you don't have to clap back. You don't have to prove a point. You don't have to match anyone's energy. Sometimes silence is the loudest answer because silence says, you no longer have access to my peace. You no longer control my vibration. You can keep the chaos. I choose clarity. The more you practice silence, the more the world learns that your energy is expensive. Emotional control as self-respect. You can't control how people act, but you can control what you allow to disturb your inner world. Every time you choose peace over reaction, you're teaching your nervous system that you are safe. You're showing your inner child, we don't have to defend ourselves anymore. We can walk away. That's emotional maturity, and it's one of the highest forms of self-love. Don't argue with frequency. You can't argue with someone whose frequency thrives on conflict. They're not looking for clarity, they're looking for energy. Don't feed them. Disengagement is protection. Peace is power. Your silence is strategy. Let their chaos echo in empty space while you rise above it in calm. The power of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care correctly. It means you love yourself enough to walk away from what drains your spirit. You stop needing closure from others because your peace becomes your closure. You stop chasing apologies because your calm becomes your validation. That's when you realize nothing external can validate internal mastery. Training your energy peace is a practice. Non-reaction is a muscle. The first few times you stay silent, Your ego will itch to defend itself. Your pride will crave the last word, but stay still anyway. Breathe through the discomfort, because the longer you hold your silence, the more your energy learns that you are in control. You stop being pulled and start leading. Affirmations for inner power. I control my energy, not my ego. My silence is my strength. I respond with peace, not impulse. I no longer feed chaos with attention. I am the calm within every storm. Final reflection. Non-reaction is not indifference, it's intelligence. It's the realization that your energy is sacred currency. And just because someone throws chaos your way doesn't mean you have to spend it there. The woman who masters non-reaction doesn't lose her voice. She amplifies her presence, because true power doesn't shout, it vibrates. And yours is now untouchable. Chapter 6, Trust as a Lifestyle. Trust isn't a moment, it's a muscle, a practice, a way of moving through life that says, I don't know how, but I know it will work out. Trust is what turns anxiety into alignment. It's what turns pressure into peace. It's the bridge between where you are and everything you desire. Trust isn't naive, it's neutral. Trust doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means facing it without fear. When you live in trust, you stop labeling moments as good or bad. You start seeing everything as movement, as divine rearrangement. What's meant for you won't miss you, and what leaves your life was never meant to stay beyond its purpose. Trust says, I release control, because control was never safety, surrender is. The habit of letting go, you don't need to plan every detail. You just need to prepare your energy. Letting go isn't passive, it's powerful. It's when you stop forcing timelines and start flowing with divine timing. The moment you let go, you make space for better. When you stop gripping, you start receiving. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. You can't live in trust while holding fear. So drop the fear. Let it dissolve in faith. From survival to flow, when you've lived in survival mode, trust feels unnatural. It feels reckless, like you're doing nothing. But trust isn't doing nothing. It's doing the right things with the right energy. Survival says, I have to do it all. Trust says, I'll do my part and the universe will handle the rest. When you live from trust, you rest differently. You work differently. You breathe differently. Everything feels lighter because you finally stopped carrying what wasn't yours to control. Learning to trust yourself again. You can't trust life if you don't trust yourself. It starts with the small things. Keeping promises to yourself. Listening to your body. Honoring your intuition. Every time you follow through, you tell the universe, I'm dependable. And life mirrors that dependability right back to you through aligned opportunities, peaceful outcomes, and divine protection. The more you trust you, the easier it becomes to trust everything else. Faith in motion. Faith isn't loud. It's a steady hum beneath your breath that says, I may not see it yet, but I know it's unfolding. You'll feel calm when logic says you shouldn't. You'll feel peace in places that used to trigger you. That's trust integrating. It's when your nervous system starts to believe that peace is safe, that you don't have to prepare for disaster anymore, that good things can actually last. Affirmations for trust. I am safe in the unknown. I trust the timing of my life. I release control and choose faith. Everything unfolds for my highest good. I live in flow, not fear. Final reflection. When trust becomes a lifestyle, you stop chasing proof and start living in peace. You stop asking, what if it doesn't work? And start affirming, of course it will. Because now you know the truth. Life bends to belief, and belief lives inside trust. The more you trust, the more effortless everything becomes. Trust isn't a risk, it's your return to divine rhythm. It's the frequency of freedom. Chapter 7: Flow, State Feminine. There's a rhythm to your power. It's not constant, it's cyclical. It moves like the moon, not the clock. When you live in flow, you stop forcing outcomes and start dancing with divine timing. You stop asking, when will it happen? And start whispering, I know it's on its way. This is flow state feminine, where intuition leads, peace guides, and everything that's meant for you finds you without effort. The energy of ease. Ease doesn't mean laziness. Ease means alignment. When your energy is right, the right people, ideas, and opportunities arrive without strain. You are taught to equate effort with worthiness, but your feminine energy knows the truth. Receiving is just as sacred as doing. You don't chase, you allow. You don't prove, you embody. The more you relax, the more you magnetize. Listening, instead of forcing flow, doesn't come from pushing harder, it comes from listening deeper. Every day, your intuition whispers directions. Wait, move now. Not yet. This is the one. When you're still enough to hear it, life becomes effortless choreography. The path unfolds step by step, not because you planned it perfectly, but because you trusted every nudge along the way. The power of feminine rhythm. Feminine energy moves in seasons: rest, creation, reflection, expansion. You're not meant to be on all the time. You're meant to ebb and flow. When you rest, you recharge. When you move, you magnetize. Both are necessary. Both are divine. Flow is about trusting your rhythm, not judging your pace. Working with the universe. The masculine energy builds the structure. The feminine energy fills it with magic. You need both, but your flow begins when you stop trying to outwork divine timing. You're co-creating, not controlling. You're guiding, not gripping. When you align your effort with your intuition, your productivity doubles without the burnout. Because what's done from flow always multiplies. The magnetic woman. The woman in flow doesn't rush. She radiates. She walks slower, speaks softer, but her presence is impossible to ignore. She doesn't worry about being chosen because she knows she's already aligned with what's hers. Her aura says, I'm open, I'm ready, I trust. That's why things work out for her. She's not chasing, she's receiving. Affirmations for flow. I release resistance and allow alignment. I move in rhythm with divine timing. I attract through peace, not pressure. I am magnetic, calm, and open. I trust my feminine flow. Final reflection. Flow isn't found through force, it's remembered through surrender. You don't have to try so hard, you just have to trust yourself harder. When you relax into your divine rhythm, everything begins to feel like it's happening for you, because it is. You are the river, and the current is your creation. Stay soft, stay steady, stay in flow, because your feminine energy isn't waiting to be found, it's waiting to be felt. Chapter 8: Quiet Leadership. Leadership isn't about being followed, it's about being felt. True leaders don't chase attention, they guide energy, they lead by vibration, not validation. Quiet leadership is the art of walking in purpose so clearly that others align just by watching you move. You don't need a title, you don't need permission, you don't need to prove you're worthy. Your presence is the position. The power of example. You teach more by embodiment than by instruction. People may forget your words, but they'll never forget how your energy felt. When you stay calm in chaos, you teach peace. When you hold boundaries with grace, you teach respect. When you keep showing up after failure, you teach resilience. That's quiet leadership. influence without noise. The shift from ego to essence ego says, look at me. Essence says, learn from me. You've moved from proving your power to being power. You no longer lead from egoic force. You lead from energetic flow. Ego leads from fear of being unseen. Essence leads from peace with being misunderstood. Quiet leaders don't demand recognition. They command reverence through presence, through consistency, through love. The grounded voice. Your voice doesn't need to be loud to be heard. It just needs to be honest. Quiet leaders speak with intention. They pause before responding. They understand that their words carry weight, and they choose each one carefully. When you speak from awareness, your message cuts through noise effortlessly, because the world listens differently when your energy is steady. Leading yourself first. The foundation of leadership is self-mastery. You can't guide others through storms you still fear. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to walk the path honestly. Quiet leadership means leading yourself daily, through doubt, through discomfort, through growth. It means showing up with integrity when no one's watching. It means holding yourself accountable without shame. The better you lead you, the more naturally others trust your direction. Leadership without comparison. You're not meant to lead like anyone else. You're meant to lead like you. Comparison disconnects you from your authenticity. Imitation disconnects you from your intuition. Your path is unique. Your voice carries medicine only you can deliver. You don't have to be the loudest in the room. You just have to be the most aligned. Because alignment is louder than applause. The legacy of calm. Quiet leaders change the world subtly, through example, not ego. They plant seeds of peace in places that were starving for softness. They heal rooms just by being in them. Your calm becomes contagious. Your consistency becomes inspiration. Your faith becomes guidance. And over time, you realize leadership was never about control. It was about contribution. Affirmations for leadership. I lead by example, not ego. My presence is powerful. I guide with peace and purpose. I am a mirror of calm strength. My leadership creates alignment, not pressure. Final reflection. Quiet. Leadership isn't about being in charge, it's about being in truth. You lead when you walk in integrity. You lead when you love out loud. You lead when you rise and help others rise with you. And the most magnetic part of it all, you do it without forcing, without fear, without fanfare. Because leadership in its purest form is energy under grace. And your grace has become your guidance. Chapter 9. Faith over fear. Fear whispers lies. Faith speaks truth. Fear says, what if it goes wrong? Faith says, even if it does, I'll rise again. Fear needs proof before it moves. Faith moves and the proof appears. Faith is not denial. Faith is decision. A decision to believe in peace, even when circumstances try to convince you otherwise. The nature of fear. Fear is the body's alarm system, useful when you're in danger, deceptive when you're in transformation. Fear is not a warning to stop. It's an indicator that expansion is near. When you start walking toward a new level of life, fear gets loud. Not because you're on the wrong path, but because you're leaving the familiar. Your nervous system mistakes new for unsafe, but you can teach it otherwise, with breath, with gentleness, with faith. Faith as frequency. Faith is not something you think, it's something you feel. It lives in your energy, your posture, your breath, your willingness to surrender. Faith is the frequency of peace in motion. It's the energy that magnetizes miracles. When you live in faith, you no longer chase outcomes. You embody alignment. The universe doesn't respond to desperation, it responds to belief. The bridge of surrender. You can't hold control and receive miracles at the same time. One hand must open. Surrender is not giving up, it's giving over. It's saying, I've done my part. Now I release it. I trust the process even when I can't see the plan. Faith doesn't erase uncertainty, it just stops letting uncertainty decide your peace. When fear returns, fear will visit again. That's its nature. It's ancient, programmed into your biology. But now you have awareness. When fear shows up, you don't panic. You greet it. You say, I see you. Thank you for trying to protect me. And then you choose faith anyway. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in the presence of it. Faith says, you can stay, but you can't steer. Faith in timing. When things feel delayed, that's not punishment, it's preparation. Every divine promise comes with divine pacing. Sometimes the universe is rearranging circumstances to meet your frequency. Faith means knowing that nothing is missing, it's just moving. Everything meant for you is already on its way, finding the right moment to arrive. While you wait, you're not waiting in lack, you're waiting in readiness. Affirmations for faith. I release fear and choose trust. I walk by faith, not by sight. Everything I desire is already aligning for me. I am safe in divine timing. My belief is stronger than my doubt. Final reflection. Faith is not a feeling, it's a lifestyle. It's choosing peace over panic, presence over pressure, surrender over struggle. When you stop fighting the unknown, it starts working for you. The moment you breathe and say, I trust, you signal to the universe that you're ready to receive. And from that place, miracles unfold quietly, naturally, inevitably. Because faith is the highest form of alignment, and you, my love, are now fully aligned. Chapter 10. The Art of Being Still. Stillness is not emptiness, it's awareness without anxiety, it's peace without proof, it's being fully here without rushing to be anywhere else. You've spent so long trying to become that you forgot how to simply be. Stillness brings you back. It's the pause between inhale and exhale where everything makes sense without needing to. The wisdom of stillness. Stillness is where clarity hides. When the world gets loud, stillness whispers the truth. You can't hear divine direction in chaos. You can't feel your next move when your mind won't stop moving. Stillness doesn't give you all the answers at once. It gives you peace until the answer arrives. And sometimes, peace is the answer. Learning to be instead of do. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not missing out. You are exactly where you're meant to be. The world glorifies doing, but the divine honors being. Being still doesn't mean you've stopped. It means you've started listening. It means you've remembered that rest and worthiness are not opposites. They are allies. Stillness is how your soul speaks when words fall short. The quiet recalibration. When you become still, you start to notice how much noise was never yours. You hear your heart beat again. You feel your intuition rise again. You remember that peace was never gone. It was buried under urgency. In stillness, you stop seeking closure. You realize the moment you stop resisting, life becomes whole again. Presence as power. Presence is your new superpower. It's the energy of being so here, so aware, so rooted that the past loses its grip and the future loses its pull. You are no longer running ahead of yourself. You are walking beside yourself. Stillness turns moments into miracles. It slows down time long enough for gratitude to breathe. Becoming the eye of the storm. Even in chaos, you can be still. Even in movement, you can be calm. Stillness doesn't mean life stops happening. It means you stop fighting what's happening. When the storm rages, you don't have to become the storm. You become the I, centered, grounded, untouchable. Your peace becomes the safest place in the world. Affirmations for stillness. I am safe in stillness. I trust the quiet moments between action. I no longer chase clarity. I allow it to come. My peace is my priority. I am whole, here, now. Final reflection. Stillness is not the end of the journey, it's the rhythm that sustains it. You no longer move from panic, you move from presence. You no longer seek validation, you live from awareness. You no longer run toward peace, you are peace. This is where overthinking ends and embodiment begins. This is where trying ends and trusting begins. This is where you remember that doing nothing was never a loss, it was a lesson. Stillness is your new home. Your peace is permanent. Your confidence is quiet and it's powerful. You are no longer becoming, you are being. And that's where your true power lives. The return to trust. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. You did it. You made it to the end. But this isn't the end of your healing. It's the beginning of your peace. Somewhere between the first page and this moment, you softened. You stopped running. You remembered that you can trust yourself again. The thoughts will still come. The noise will still try to return. But now you know you are not the noise. You are the stillness underneath it. You've learned how to breathe through uncertainty. You've learned how to listen to your intuition. You've learned that you don't have to have it all figured out to be safe. You just have to be present. The calm you feel right now, it's not temporary. It's you remembering your true frequency. Carry this peace into your next chapter. Let it guide every decision, every move, every word. Because you no longer live in survival mode, you live in self-trust. And that, my love, is what quiet confidence really means. So rest now, smile softly, and know this truth. You are safe, you are supported, you are home. Thank you for listening. Thank you for healing. Thank you for returning to yourself. This is quiet confidence, the art of trusting yourself again. And this is where peace begins.